Let's look at, you talked about this a little bit in the part of the validation, John, with terms of managing images and uploading the highest quality image that you're going to need. So I think it's important to provide image capabilities for your editors. We want to save time. We want to improve website performance. We want to just make life easier for your team. And the number one way to do that, ask your editors to upload high quality images. If we only need a single image attachment field that requires, or it asks the user as part of the validation to upload the highest quality value that will be needed, then we could validate that it won't be too big. If we care about that, like we don't want that 5 GB image being uploaded, that's just a waste. But maybe we want to have something that's at least, a certain size or a certain pixel dimension. We want to ensure we do that as much as possible, and then let the system output multiple sizes and formats. Oh, it looks like I spelled formats wrong there. Based on the output of design as needed, as per that channel. So if it's going to be on a high resolution website, as a main image, then we can use that, a pretty high quality version of that. And Agility, as a platform that John and I are really familiar with, this is one of the things that we made sure was like a top priority, a first level citizen within the system, to make sure that everything's delivered through a CDN and everything can be automatically formatted by a developer, so that the editor doesn't have to worry about any of that stuff, and you can still have really fast performance with really high quality output. It needs to look great and perform optimally.
Yeah, so important for multi-channel and things like that. And this is the common mistake. People go design first, not content first. And they're like, we have to make this that resolution, that exact resolution. And then they're like, oh, we're gonna load up an app or a tablet or something, and they need a higher res or something, and they just don't have it.
Yeah. Or we need a lower resolution version on a mobile site, and now our screen is only 600 pixels wide, and our images were 4,000 pixels wide. Well, what do we do with that image now? So just like you were saying earlier I think the last bullet point of the previous slide was ensuring that the developers understand the requirements here and what's going on with the content architecture as it relates to the possible outputs for something. This is really useful, and I can illustrate this in the next slide. So I just did this. This morning. I took an image it was a JPEG. It was 4,000 by 5,000 pixels, so pretty big. It was already fairly highly compressed, so it's 800 kilobytes, right? Still pretty high. Like, that's still a lot to put on a website. You really don't want to have anything that's more than like 300 kilobytes is considered a lot for a single image. Imagine if I had 10 images like that on a page. Just now I've made that really heavy, right? But let's just look at what we could do. This is Agility specific. This is how Agility's image rendering works. But it's actually pretty common now to be able to do this kind of stuff. If we ask the developer to automatically format that, so even if you uploaded a PNG or the JPEG, maybe it wasn't as highly compressed as it could be. All I did was added format equals auto onto this, which converted it to a WebP, and it changed it to 150 kilobytes. So already we're able to cut it down, in this case, more than 50%, which is crazy, which is, really, really good. But then I probably don't need a 4,000 pixel image to render in my browser. A lot of times maybe it's showing it maybe only needs to be 800 pixels wide. And in that case, that image dropped down to 10 kilobytes, and it still looked really good. And I made it, maybe we're showing that in a list of, a product listing where we have lots of images. And so maybe it only needs to be 400 pixels wide. Well, in this case, it dropped down to 4 kilobytes. So in terms of sizes of images, we've gone from 800 kilobytes to 4 kilobytes. And that really makes a huge difference with performance. And I only needed to upload that one image. I think that's really important to make it clear to your editing team, as well as to your developers, how those images are intended to be used.
Right. So we just saved a ton of work for your editor. They didn't have to resize that image. They didn't have to make maybe 3 different image sizes and upload each one individually. And then we increased the performance by, I don't know how many times that is. It depends on which one you look at, but it's a lot. And obviously every system you work with is a little different. So for example, with Agility, Format Auto allows it to look at the browser. Does it support WebP? We'll optimize it to WebP, or does it convert it to some other format that's more efficient for that specific browser or that device? So every system is different. You have to learn how to use that system properly, but it's really important to kind of look at this and be like, okay, if we're going to architect our solution with an image with a larger size, again, did you work with your development team to let them know this is our strategy with content architecture? We're always going to give you the biggest size. We need you to optimize it when you request that image and put it in, because a developer could mess this up and ask for the full size and drop it right in there. And then as Joel said, 8 or 9, 10, 800 kilobyte images is really going to slow down the bandwidth and the whatever device you go to. It doesn't matter if it's a website or something else. So it's communication needs to happen about your methodology of how you want to do your images, but we always recommend this type of methodology.
If your system doesn't have the ability to manipulate images at the CDN level like Agility does, then in that case, you really should set up your content model so that you can have specific sizes of images. It does ask your editors to do more work. But for instance, if you're having a product, for instance, you want to have like a main product details to show on a product details screen, and you want to have a listing image, then you probably should have 2 different attachment fields for that, to make sure that you don't kill your website with, repeating high quality images that are being sized by